Piranha 3D, in 3D, yes, Piranha 3D. This is a 2010 release, a 1 hour and 28 minute film. 2.40 to 1 aspect ratio, so you will get the black bars at the top and the bottom if you're watching on a television set or on a screen like I have here. 5.5 on Internet Movie Database, 74% critics approval score on Rotten Tomatoes, and 44% audience approval score on Rotten Tomatoes. So there's a switch up there. Usually the audience is higher than the critics, but in this particular case, the critics is much higher than the audience. DTS HD Master Audio 5.1, directed by Alexandre Aja. You know I'm going to mispronounce names, that's just the way it is. Richard Dreyfuss as Matt Boyd, or the boat guy. He's in the beginning. Look, there's going to be some spoilers here. I'm going to talk a little bit about it as I go through these actors. I'm trying not to spoil too much, but just a little warning. So Richard Dreyfuss plays this boat guy in the beginning. He's got a cameo. He lasts about 3, 4, 5 minutes in the film. You don't see him again. You got Ving Rhames as the deputy. He's that guy in a trailer with the boat motor and the fish are flying out. Plays a good part. I really like him. I think he's a good actor. I think he comes back for Piranha 3 Double D, if I'm not mistaken. You got Elizabeth Shue as Julie. I really like Elizabeth Shue. She's a great actress. She plays a sheriff here, and she's got to figure out what's going on. She has this son here, Stephen R. McQueen. He plays Jake Forrester. She plays the deputy. This is her son. Now, he's got a love interest with Jessica Zor, who plays Kelly in here. You got a couple of parallel stories going on here. I'll tell you about that in a minute. Let's get through these actresses. Christopher Lloyd, he plays Mr. Carl Goodman. He's like a doctor. They got to get in there, and I don't mean a doctor. I mean, he examines fish. I don't know what you want to call him, but he's like a scientist. He's got all these fish tanks and everything. He's trying to figure out this piranha, but he knows where it came from and how old it is. You got Jerry O'Donnell. He's the jerk in here. I say the jerk because he's like running it's called Wild Wild Girls. I don't know if you remember in the 90s they had that thing, Girls Gone Wild. And so this is what this is. I mean, this is basically it's Jaws Gone Wild, because it's a parody of Girls Gone Wild, but this is called Wild Wild Girls. In fact, the guy that created Girls Gone Wild said, if you portray me in a negative light, I'm going to sue you. So don't do it. And they did. They portrayed him in a negative light. They showed him doing some drugs and stuff. And I don't know whatever happened with the lawsuit. But anyway, so he plays like a jerk in this movie. He really is. Then you got Eli Roth. He's the host of the party going on. Kelly Brook and Riley Steele, two very attractive young ladies. They have a scene in here where an underwater scene. It's kind of like, I want to say, there's a mermaid show, Wiki Wachi on the West Coast, and they just kind of swim around. It's a nude scene, but it's done to a very artistic with some beautiful music to it. Really is. It's a really cool scene. Adam Scott as Novak. He's get called in here because the earth splits open. These piranha come up from underneath from somewhere. He needs to figure out what's going on. Stephen R. McQueen, he's Jake Forrester. He's Elizabeth Shue's son. He's got that love interest going on with Kelly. There was over 1,100 boats. 1,100 boats were used in filming this in the party area during that attack scene. 75,000 gallons of fake blood were used. So what's going on? The earth cracks open. You got these piranha coming up from prehistoric time in this lake. You got all these kids partying. Some of these scenes that were filmed were actual spring break scenes. A lot of it was not. And now these fish are coming up, and they're slowly working their way towards the party. You know what's going on. You got this guy out on a yacht. You got three parallel stories here. You got a guy out on a yacht with this young couple. He's a real jerk, but he's the one that's going to set this Wild Wild Girls thing up. You've got you got Elizabeth Shue out there tracking down, seeing what's going on, and then you got the party going on, and all that kind of comes together. I kind of got hooked into the plot. I really liked the way the story was laid out. I really did. I liked the beginning. I liked the way it was laid out. I got interested in it and got invested in it. I really did. Let's talk about the gore, because the gore here is absolutely excessive. It's over the top gore. Look, I'm not a horror guy, but I don't consider these type of movies horror movies. I don't, just because of the gore. I mean, but you know, anything to do with fish and sharks, I don't consider that horror. But the way they portrayed the gore here is it's unbelievable. There was people that commented that they got sick. One person threw up during the viewing of the film. People couldn't sleep at night. People had nightmares. People couldn't ever go in the water again. And I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah. You know, I saw Jaws, but let me tell you what, the gore here is like nothing you've ever seen. I mean, if you can imagine fish with razor blades for teeth, hundreds of them, like just eating the flesh off your legs down to the bones, and now somebody pulls you out of the water, there's bones there, and it's so real, and it's so excessive, and it just keeps hammering and hammering, and it's a long time, and the terror on some people, the terror, them backed in a corner and stuff, and it's like, yeah, I can see where people would have nightmares. It really is excessive. And you think, well, there's a lot of nudity in here, but that's just gets wiped away with the gore. It's just like, you got to be kidding me. The gore is so intense. Let's talk about the sound score. The sound score was pretty good. Fits really well. I liked it. Some good music in there and everything. You know, I mean, it fits with that girls going wild party atmosphere type music. Let's talk about the 3D now. This film was intentionally filmed for 3D, but it's converted. It was not filmed with 3D cameras. It was converted. But the shots were framed for 3D. Then you got things sticking out of the frame, and you got a little bit of trouble with that negative parallax at times, but you do get things sticking out of the screen. There are some brilliant 3D shots, some brilliant 3D conversions. Brilliant because of the way it was framed and the way it was set up. Some really, really great 3D stuff. You're going to have some piranha coming from behind you going into the screen. You're going to have piranha jumping out. But there are problems with the 3D. Go Find Fun talks about it. I'll leave his review down below. Check it out. He talks about the problems with it. And there is, because this is an early 2012 conversion. And there are some problems, but not enough to take away from the overall experience. It's a very enjoyable 3D watch. I know some people say that it hurt their eyes. It didn't hurt my eyes. Maybe a little bit at the beginning, but look, overall, it's well worth watching this in 3D. I wouldn't want to watch it any other way but in 3D. So that's my take on Piranha 3D. I'm going to give it 3.5 out of 5 for the movie because I enjoyed it. I kind of got vested in it. I'm going to give it 3.75 for the 3D because it does have some problems, but it's still worth picking up in 3D. So, tell me, what did you think? Did you see it? Did you see it in 3D in the theaters when it came out? Did you get sick? Did it bother you? Leave those comments below. I gotta know. I'm just curious. Maybe you never went swimming again after you saw it in 3D in the theaters. I don't know. But leave some comments below. Did you see it 2D? Maybe you saw it in 2D. Leave some comments there too. Hit that like and subscribe, but got a lot more reviews coming out. I want you to stay tuned. I want you to stay safe. As always, I want you to have a good night, and God bless.